I wanted to get your thoughts on Scott Pendlebury's comments, and I know you've had a similar view, I think, and I'm not sure whether the guys have got the audio queued up about Scott Pendlebury's comments that the AFL players are underpaid, but it has been your view for some time, I reckon. So you agree with Scott on that?
100%. I think the exact number was something like they're getting 21% of revenue. Or
28, I think.
It's in the 20s, yeah, which is way too low, isn't it? Way too low. I mean, while... And I've heard this argument from Paul Marsh, and I sort of agree with it. The game generates huge finance, and I'm not sure that the elite players are getting the lion's share of what they deserve.
Let's have a listen to what he had to say on the Ball Magnets podcast with Tom Mitchell. I think it was yesterday.
I still think the players in our game and the coaching staff and that are heavily underpaid.
Yeah.
And everyone will go, oh, you get paid so much as players. It's like, I think the executive team in the AFL are the highest paid people in the game.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but there's no other league in the world where the exec team's paid more than the players. I think the players, I think of a guy like Nick Dacos, Dusty Martin, they cannot live normal lives in Melbourne.
No way.
Now he won't get, and he said this, he's not going to get much sympathy from the footy fans out there. I'm glad he mentioned on first listen I didn't hear him reference the coaches, because I'm big on this, as you know I have been, that the soft cap spend has been decimated and hasn't recovered like the players and every other aspect of the game has, and the role that the coaches, the medical staff, we've lost some great doctors in the game as a result of this, and they're really important as well. So that's got to increase, and they've been smashed and haven't recovered, and the players probably have with their wage. But what's the right percentage? I mean, it's different to the NBA because it's privately owned and there's all sorts of different aspects of that. What is the right percentage that the players should be taking of the revenue?
Yeah, I don't know the number. I don't know the answer to that. But what I do know is that the lists are too big, and the top end of talent are not getting paid or remunerated like they should be. We should have our top player earning $2 million a year. I've got no doubt about that. A Dustin Martin over the last 5 years should be on $2 million a year. I've got a question for you. Can I pose a question? So could we? And this is a little bit early for the agenda, but I'm going with it anyway. Could we have a new best midfielder in the comp in the next couple of weeks? Someone that's evolving to the stage where we're going to start talking about this guy as the best midfielder in the competition.
Are we thinking it's Noah Anderson?
That's exactly where we're going.
Yeah.
He's doing some things that are just amazing. In a team that's struggling a little around the edges. Well, I was just having a look at some of his stuff yesterday. So he's averaging 28 disposals a game, which is up there with the best. Most of it hits the scoreboard. He's averaging more score involvements than Bontempelli, more than Clayton Oliver. He's in that bracket the last 4 to 5 weeks. So that's where I'm going about influence, not just accumulation, but he does win clearances as well. Look at his clearance game. He's averaging 7 a week, which is more than. It's the same as, I shouldn't say it's more than, he's averaging more clearances than Clayton Oliver, than Christian Petrarca. Bont's got him for clearances, but that's in pretty good company, isn't it?
So the all-round midfielders were inside, outside.
Chameleons, I'm calling them.
Yeah.
They can do both.
It's a really good observation. And how many are there of that ilk in the AFL? Because you wouldn't, Cripps probably was that last year. He hasn't been that this year. He's exploding away from stoppage, kicked 20 goals last year, hasn't been that player this year. But there's only a handful.
I'll tell you a name I'm putting in there. I'm putting Darcy Parish in there.
Yeah, you're a big fan of Darcy Parish.
Yeah, I'm putting him in there. I'm putting...
My man Rosie's in there. 100% my man Rosie is in that category.
Yeah. How's he going? Is he
very well? He just got the
little sparkle in the eye then
he just got the coach's votes.
I'm just asking.
He's going very
I just want
well.
to give you an opportunity to be happy about life.
I just feel like I hadn't given him enough love. I mean, all the focus has been on Jason and Francis this year. I've sort of dropped off the Rosie love, so just important to remind them. But 0433 90 out of
Dawson's another one that's in that bracket.
Very, very good in the conversation. Petrarca is absolutely in the conversation. Let's chuck it out there. 1300 736 736. Those midfielders that do it all. One midfielder that doesn't do it all, and I've written about this in The Age, and I want to get your right of reply because I I know you're a big fan. We all are of Matt Rowell. We're all big fans.
You haven't been historically.
I've been worried about Matt Rowell.
Worried?
Yes, worried about what his ceiling is if this style of play continues. And not only the physical toll that it will take on him, but can he be that Noah Anderson type midfielder, or can he be fully damaging to the opposition if he continues playing the way that he's playing right now? He's taken 17 marks for the year, King.
Yeah, that's 17. Not his go. That's not what he does.
But it has to be. But
no, it doesn't.
You have to have the balance.
No, you don't. Let's just judge what he is. He was a game wrecker last week. His last couple of weeks.
He had 18 touches. I know there was 11 clearances. And
that's his go, though, isn't it?
Went head to head. Can you be a game wrecker if you're playing full-time midfield and getting 18 touches? No one gets under 20 if they're playing full-time midfield.
He's got a penchant for contested footy. 65% of his footy comes at the that is ripping the heart out of the opposition.
Balance. I think that's out of alignment.
He's always been out of balance, though. This is his balance.
But that doesn't mean you can't work on it. I mean, he's 4 years in. He's a young man. That doesn't mean, like Lachie Neale has done, work on the outside aspects of your game. Gary Ablett Jr. was a game-wrecking inside contested animal. Judd was the same, but they can explode on the outside as well. We saw him do it. Now, 6 goals in his first 4 games. He's kicked 4 goals since.
It's not about kicking. Not a lot of mids hit the scoreboard, really.
It helps.
Of course, it helps, but not a lot of them hit not a lot of hitting the scoreboard at the moment in what we call modern footy.
But most of them get outside ball. Oliver is an inside animal as well, absolutely. But he's had 142 uncontested possessions this year. Rowell's in the 60s.
But Rowell doesn't have the luxury of someone else going in and winning the ball for him. It's Matt Rowell or bust in there. Him and Anderson and him are the clearance players at the Suns. There is no one else. Look, Oliver can rely on Petrarca, Viney, Brayshaw when he's in there, Sparrow when he goes in there. There's a whole host of Melbourne players that can go in and do it. And he's proactive enough because of the dominance of the ruckman to get more outside ball. He doesn't have this luxury.
So if you were coaching him, you'd be really happy with how he's going.
Thrilled.
And you wouldn't. See, I'd be saying, okay, let's see if we can. Just an example. I played with a guy called Josh Franco, right? And he was a star. He was just genuine. He was struck down by injuries. And Mark Williams coached him really hard. He was like, Zappa, we love the stuff that you do on the inside, but I want to get you outside. I want to count your uncontested marks. I want to count your uncontested possessions. And he drilled him really hard and he worked him hard. And I understand it's a long time ago, but that helps. I think for Rowell, it would just be lovely for him to get some cheap ball. Yeah. You feel good about yourself. Give me some handball receives.
I'm with you.
Give me a couple of uncontested.
I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm not waiting for it to happen. He's averaging 21 disposals a game this year, 14 of those in the contest. So
it's amazing.
He is getting some. He's getting some outside ball, but it's clearly not. It's not really his go. I know it sounds silly. I think he's a good short kick. I don't think he's a poor disposer of the ball at all. But he just prioritised ripping the heart out of the opposition teams. There's a lot of nominations coming through for who those. I'm going with chameleons, all right? So they can change. They can do the inside and the outside. There's a heap of them. Will Day's a good nomination. That's a terrific one. Tuke Miller, obviously. DeGoey, we've talked about a lot. LDU. They're sort of the known ones. Are there any sneaking up that we haven't spoken about, do you think?
Well, Will Ashcroft.
Rory Laird's a good one. We don't say that enough about Rory Laird.
Yeah, no, he's probably still underrated, Rory Laird, in the game, despite his record. Who are the midfielders that are doing both, inside, outside?
Max Holmes.
Max Holmes is coming with a bullet.
You like Max, don't you?
Well, I just do. I only think about Max a lot because of Dangerfield's comments last year where he said he's got Chris Judd-like traits, and I was like, your instant reaction is to fall off your chair. But then you actually look at it, and he's really surprised me by what he's done. So
Horny with you put Mitch Owens on the radar during the week. With you and G.
Yeah, he's rated very highly, but I think he's more forward than mid, but maybe able to get there. Archie Perkins, I think, has the potential to get to that level. Yeah. I think Horn Francis has he's all contested, but I think in time he'll have the opportunity to get that.
You're ducking down there to sort him out just to show him how to get some easy ball?
I was the king.
I might get him to go to the Wallora. What are they, the Dragons or the Panthers or something?
No,
what
the
were
Pumas.
They? The Pumas, that's it. I might get him to duck down to the Pumas next week and have a look. Tom Green, that's a ripper.
It's a good one.
That's a
Kicked
good
3
one.
last week.
Yep.
Jack Sinclair's getting some love. The package, Jake Stringer, says Richard.
So the bottom line, Corns man, is I think in 3 weeks or 4 weeks' time we'll be talking about Noah Anderson taking the mantle as number 1 midfielder in the competition.
Well, it's a big call for a Friday, and I like it. And that's why you're a full-timer. 1300 736 736.
Don't start him right today.
If you want to have your say that.
One day where we just get through without...
No, we're not fighting. We're not
You're
fighting.
picking fights. I can feel it. You're going with the part-timer comment again about some of these. But would you consider me full-time?
Yes.
Thank you.
Of the highest order. It's the Friday agenda thanks to Signet Power. Every mum with a Signet Power bank. Kingy, you want to speak about the big game tomorrow night against the Bulldogs and the Blues?
Huge game tomorrow night. And you need your leaders to lead the way, to be the torchbearers at the front. Who are you backing? Are you backing Bontempelli to do it or Cripps to lead their clubs to victory, to show the way?
Good. Well, I for whatever reason, I've picked Carlton. Now, there's always a team that gets you in your footy tips. It's a team that you just are so loyal to, but they get you everywhere. Carlton's been that team for me, and I've gone there again, and this is the last time I'm going.
You'll last time I'm going there. So,
to answer your question, I have to go with Cripps, but what Bontempelli has done this year has been nothing short of phenomenal.
So I want to ask you, and we'll get to Voss in a minute, but do you think that Cripps could say, you know what, Bont's on fire at the moment, I'm going to get the job done for the group at stoppage, and then after that, well, we'll go our own way. But at stoppage, he's mine.
I haven't seen that from Cripps before, but I'm not saying that he isn't capable of doing it, but over the course of
I don't mean tag, I just mean go shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
One
take
ball
some
to be won.
Responsibility, 100%. Let's go to battle. Or you would love to see it. Remember a few years ago, and it was probably a long time ago now, that Fife and Dangerfield went at it, and it was magnificent. Like we spoke about it, right? It was one of the hottest battles you've seen, and you love nothing more than seeing 2 gun midfielders do that. I don't know whether that happens for the full 120 minutes, but it'd be good to see. I'm sure it'll happen at some stage. Has Sydney's demise caught us by surprise? Kingy? Because lose this week against Fremantle, that's it. And they've only beaten Gold Coast, Hawthorn and Richmond. So teams well and truly in the bottom 6 of the ladder. They've been smashed against Melbourne and smashed against Geelong, which is very unfamiliar territory for John Longmire. They were in the game against Collingwood. They butchered the footy during the third quarter and had their opportunities. But lose to Freo, that's it. They're done.
Done for the year. They've been a victim of circumstance this year, haven't they?
There's been some mitigating factors, but a lot of clubs have been in
as bad as
positions and held up better.
Lost their fullback and their All-Australian back pocket leader, and for a period of time their centre half back.
They've still had, we're talking about a Marty and players like that, but by and large they've had their full complement of star mids. Like their star players have been there. They've had some personnel issues.
Their mids have
been
poor. Their mids have been erratic. They've been. If you look at their season overall, you go, you know what? Not bad numbers. Not bad. Then you go in a bit deeper, and they'll have a really 2 poor games, then a big game, then an average game. They're all over the place.
And they're small for like Papley, great one week, and then and Heaney's kicked 7 goals for the year off the back of an All-Australian season. I just think they've snuck up on us. How poor they've been, and understand there's. Am I confident? Yeah, I am.
They'll bounce next year.
The mistake that they made was not make any significant changes to their list in the off season. So all of the teams that we're speaking about at the top end of the tree, in Geelong and Melbourne and Collingwood and Brisbane, they all made improvements to their list in the off season. Sydney didn't do that, and in hindsight. And maybe they're hamstrung with their salary cap and all of that. In hindsight, that was a mistake. Aaron Francis isn't going to move the needle for Sydney in the off-season. They didn't improve their list, whereas the other top teams did. And I think that has been a difference for them. You want to speak about Vossi?
Well, what do you want to see from Vossi tomorrow night? Okay, because I think Voss is pretty much a plug-and-play type coach. He backs his troops to perform their roles. Very rarely does he make great change in-game. It's just do your job. What do you want to see from him tomorrow night? Do you want to see something different? Do you want to see a different ball movement profile? Do you want to see different players in different positions? How do you think he'll spark a response?
It's a good question, because if he makes any significant change, you go, oh, he's panicking. It's a reaction to the criticism and to the Carlton fans' frustration. But then if he does nothing, there's Michael Voss just going with the same method and the same plan again. So he really, the chatter and the commentary around it will be dictated by the result. Like if he gets the result, and he made changes, but great coaching from Voss. He put Curnow up higher. He presented on the logos more. He was outside 50, and they separated Mackay and Curnow. And their ball movement was prepared to take a few more risks with their ball movement. And if they win, terrific. But it'll be all dictated by the result, won't it?
Mm. Yeah.
What would you do? What do you want to see, and what would you advise him to do? Because how can he coach the ball use? Like the ball use was 85 off turnover they conceded. The ball use was second rate last week. Now, is that a Michael Voss issue?
Well, we showed some vision on first crack last week. I think it's more the targets on exit than the actual exit itself. Like if you give the player one option to hit, it more often than not is difficult to find that one option. You need more than one out, if you like. So they got problems there. I'd love to see him just throw Adam Sard in the middle, spark a response, see if you can say, okay, well, this is different. Challenge the Dogs to defend Adam Sard as a midfielder and see how you go.
I don't mind it, and it would be good. It would be good to see Curnow just up the ground.
He has been up the ground though.
He does present, but can he just have a bit more of a license? The Jeremy Cameron license is what you call it.
Yeah, I get that, but if he's not there kicking goals around the goalface, you're in a bit of strife to score.
It's time for Harry to step up, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, okay.
Come on,
that's a good point you raised.
Let's put some pressure on him to actually deliver on what he's capable of. It's not going to be a busy trade off-season, I don't think, but this week there's been some talk around a number of defenders. I want you to rank these defenders in order, and these are all gettable from what I'm
recruiting them.
You've got first pick
okay.
out of these 5 defenders.
Okay.
Duday from Adelaide, Radigalia, Mackay at North Melbourne. Himmelberg's playing as a forward and in the ruck, but he will be next year at a new club playing as a defender where he should be playing. And Miles Bergman is a sneaky one who is having a much improved year for Port Adelaide. Who's the pick of those?
For me, I would say Himmelberg.
Okay, I would have said Duday.
Would you really in front of all those others?
Well, they're not the A graders, are they?
But Radigalia is I'd have him second.
Okay,
maybe
I would have
Bergman after that.
You got Mackay dropping down the order
a little bit, yeah.
All right, so I would have gone Duday, Himmelberg, Mackay, Radigalia, Bergman. That would be the order that I would have gone.
I think I would go Himmelberg, Radigalia, Bergman, Mackay, Dodie.
It's been good, Radigalia. Got the 10 coaches' votes on the weekend against Taylor Walker, and he's holding up well, and he has needed to for Geelong. It's a dire predicament that they are in. I know you're close to Adam Simpson and the issues around their list and the injuries. Reportedly a significant review going into their high-performance staff, as you would expect. What's the way out?
Normally doesn't end well when they call for the review of your department, does it?
No.
Generally means you can sort of book your holidays a little bit earlier.
You're in trouble.
You're in a heap of trouble. Almost Alpina style. They've just got to go back to the draft. I think they have. Unfortunately for them, their draft picks have been injured as well. Like the whole club is probably unsure of what's there. I think. I know they lack talent, and they're coming off. They've been to the peak, and now they're coming down the other side. So this is part of your lot. It's a club that doesn't generally sit down the bottom of the table for too long. They find a way to spike, but this is the question really is, and I think this is what Brendan's getting to. Do they think that Adam Simpson's the man for the next 4 or 5 years? That's the only question to answer, really.
Yes, and does he want to put himself through that?
He's a coach. He loves coaching.
Yeah, but he'll get a job. He'll get a job somewhere else, 100%. Like he could walk into a job with a team that is ready to go, probably more
Where?
so. Not ready. Not well. If Gold Coast decided that, I mean, that would absolutely speak to Adam Simpson. If Port Adelaide decided that they wanted to part ways with Ken Hinkley after 11 years, you would absolutely speak to a premiership coach that has done it not that long ago in Adam Simpson. Now, if you're Adam, and it's a massive move, I get all of that, and I don't know his family situation, got no idea. But would you rather coach Port Adelaide or Gold Coast next year, or stick around at the Eagles and win 3 games next year? And clearly the writing is going to be on the wall. So I think he's got a decision to make.
You're Adam Simpson, right? You're Adam Simpson. What would you do?
Go. I said this last year. I said, is he the one that wants to stick around for the rebuild? I wouldn't do that. And I get you're a coach. You've got a contract in front of you. You take what is there, and you often probably don't think other jobs are going to bob up. But if you're patient and if you wait for the right opportunity, it will come. And
I think it's an incredible waste, don't you? It's a waste of great coaching intel and intelligence. Also, intelligence and application. His ability to build relationships with players and full club buy-in to unite a footy club. They're hard to find, aren't they? So a lot of information there, Cornsey. A lot of information.
Did you get all that?
I wrote it all down.
You're not a fan, are you?
I just want to see.
Let's call it for what it is. You're questioning his coaching ability.
I'm questioning what their strength area is. What is their weapon? What is the one thing that they say we're going to dominate the competition in this facet? What is it?
Whilst we're going all Stephen A on Fremantle, have we got a bit of Stephen A there just from this morning? Is it there?
Yes,
Stephen? You with us? You with us, Stephen A?
No, he's not coming. He's not coming.
We'll get him in a second. Lose and it's over for Fremantle, okay? So lose to Sydney this week. It is over. It is done. Geelong, Melbourne next week. They've already only won 3 games for the year. They've beaten West Coast, Gold Coast and Hawthorn. They got Sydney, Geelong and Melbourne. Lose this week, it's done. And Nat Fyfe's the sub again. And I understand there's fitness issues with this. But your season is on the line. Play your best player and play him for 60% of the game. Start him if you need to sub him. If you need to sub him in the second half, halfway through the third quarter, sub him then. He's your best player and your season is on the line and he's going sub again. I got it last week. I understood it. Heat's out of the game. Bring him on. He had 10, kicked a goal, feeling much better about himself. Play your best player this week, Nat Fyfe, and if you need to sub him out later. Don't start him as a sub. So
I like how you warm
we'll see
to
how,
it.
We'll see how that plays out. I'm so disgusted. That is unacceptable.
They've made no change. So this
Fyfe's a sub.
This is a huge game. A huge game.
It's all over.
Tommy Papley's 100. I can see Tommy Papley celebrating again on the weekend. My worry is that it becomes a season of meandering. You don't really have a lot to show for what you've. It's all well and good to punch games into kids, but what are they learning?
You reckon Sydney are happy that Neil Erasmus is playing or Nat Fyfe? Like, do you think they would rather see Erasmus or Fyfe?
Well, he's
honestly,
a young player.
On a Bailey Banfield. You want Banfield or do you want Fyfe?
Yeah.
Like, come on, put some fear in the opposition. They're vulnerable as well. Season on the line and Fyfe's playing as the sub again. Goodness gracious me. So
it wasn't even your topic. I love it.
It's time you sucked me in again. I took the bait again. Jeez, I never learned.